I got nothing to say, yeah, I'm just loving the way you're looking over here. Come over here and tell me your name. I can tell by the sound, yeah, when you open your mouth. I hear my new favorite melody, hey. We should both run away. Why did we ever stay in the first place? I can't shake the feeling when you face away from me, away from me, babe. I will wait a lifetime if you say you stay with me, babe. I can't shake the feeling when you face away from me, babe. I will wait a lifetime if you say you stay with me, babe.
Honestly, not even worried. Episode 30.
40.
Is it 40?
40.
Episode 40. 40-year-old virgin. Y'all remember that movie?
Hit.
When he was like, ow, don't wax my chest hair. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. When he was like, yeah, it's like grabbing a bag of sand.
It's like a sandbag. A boobie's like a sandbag. Wow. Iconic movie.
He's not off.
Welcome back. He's not off, but we are on, and I'm Nilo G, and I'm here with Blake Boots.
He's back!
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
He's back!
Yeah, it's good to be back with you guys. It's here to do another pod. Here we go, right off the rails, and let's just get right into it. Blake, go ahead.
All right, we are here today, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about was I'm in my iced coffee era, bro.
You're in your ICE.
ICE, dude. Iced coffee era.
Wow, that's perfect. And what do you mean by that?
I spit when I talk.
Well, as I drink a hot drink, I am just sad every time I take a sip of this hot beverage because
Dare me to drive?
I would much rather be drinking an iced coffee instead of a hot coffee.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but something happened 2 weeks ago where I realized
My English teacher was a guy.
I need cold stuff in my mouth.
It's got are you starting to get hot tonsils? I feel like a lot of my boys got hot tonsils.
What?
I think I got hot tonsils, dude. They're a little bit heated, they're a little palpitating. Is that a phrase?
They're palpitating, yeah.
Dare me to drive?
Yeah, that's how you know that you've reached an upper echelon of bestiality.
Stop the tape!
Not the right word. You become more of a beast.
Yeah, dude.
And that's how you know is when you get the hot tonsils. That's kind of an alpha energy. So that's your brown adipose tissue is being reduced. And you're really kind of reaching a new thing. So congrats, dude. Yeah, welcome to the iced coffee era. Your iced coffee era.
Dude.
It lasts about 5 to 10 years, and you're gonna have more riches in the next 5, and some really hard times from 5 to 7 years, and then you're really gonna hit your stride by year 8, year 9, and that's kind of the iced coffee era. But let's get into that more because the hot drink you're drinking now, is it coffee?
It is coffee. It's called Perk Brazil blend, and it's a little dark chocolatey. It's pretty tasty.
So you're bringing this up because you're saying you made a mistake.
I'm saying that the past, I'm saving up so much money for this trip we're about to take, and by that I mean I'm not saving up enough money. I am buying so much iced coffee out and about because let's just get it right, dude. It tastes much better than what I can make at home. So.
Yeah, and it's just something really kind of just calming and soothing about the coldness of it. As with the hot beverage, you do run a lot more risk of injury. I feel like nobody ever got scorched.
I just stuck my dick in her tip cup. Dare me to drive?
I'm heated right now. I'm heat. I'm hot. I know I could take this jacket off, but it would throw off my my look. And I don't want people to know that I'm wearing a Kate Trinata t-shirt, or do I?
No, you got to keep that on. Contrast the background.
Don't trust the background at all. But yeah, dude, it's just so much better to do the cold boy because it doesn't heat me up as much, and for some reason I actually end up drinking it slower than I do the hot. I don't know what it is, but maybe before we get on this call, I made it like 10 minutes before we hopped on this call, and it's basically gone, and I'm just sad, and I'm just looking at it like, well shit, I want more, but I don't have more.
You would think that you would drink it faster, not slower.
I know. That's what I thought, but I think it's just it's so potent and it hits so strong with every sip. I'm like, oh, I got to ease into this for sure.
You gotta slowly dip your toe in.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're scared of the power of the iced drink. You're scared of doing it too quickly, so you do it too slow. You do it slow.
Yeah, I'm scared of what it might truly do to me. Dude, yesterday it sends me, there's that somebody told me yesterday, I think it was Hannah was saying the line between anxiety and excitement is like so thin.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was like right there. I was like, this is the perfect amount. I am so juiced right now, but if I don't eat something, I'm going to have a panic attack in the next like 5 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of it is framing. I feel like it's like just getting around the idea of your anxiety. I mean, unless you're having a panic attack. But I think I read a thing that they like did some imaging and it's the same chemical or something like that. And
so crazy.
It's just, and a lot of it is just a matter of the story you tell yourself. You got to do some affirmations.
Dude, it's like working on a new project, honestly. It's like you're so excited to do it. And then as soon as you start doing it, your ego's like, the end product is going to take you 1 year. And you're like, ugh, this isn't going to be done for 1 year. And it's like, fuck, what's the point of even starting this? But it's like, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
Don't listen. Just focus on the thing, on the process, baby.
Yeah, dude. It's bogus, but yeah, dude, I overcame it. I ate a really good cauliflower pesto spinachy sandwich yesterday, and dude, I shot to the moon. I was good to go, and I was vibing.
That's awesome, dude.
Push through,
I love
baby.
to hear about your dietary journey because it really goes all over the place, and it's very particular, and it's got a cool course. You 1 week you're like working in all sorts of new stuff, and you're like, wow, it didn't really affect me this time. And other times you're like, what the fuck? I smelled a carrot and I sharted.
I ate a singular fig and I almost lost part of my bowel.
Dare me to drive?
Yeah, man. My iced coffee era, it's been a while. It started a while ago, so I wonder how many years I got left now. I'd have to go back into the archive and take a look, but I do love that iced coffee. I just finished a Starbucks that Jenny got me, and I'm waiting for that to kick in. Although I do worry, Michael Pollan did a whole book on caffeine, and for it he had to understand what caffeine does to you, and so he gave it up, right? And he gave it up, and he went through this crazy withdrawal. I'm at the point where I know that I'm having too much of it, way too much, like because I could drink it all day. And I will hit a point. Well, it's not that I can't.
You do. You can.
I'm not chasing the buzz anymore. I just drink a minimum amount so that I don't feel like shit. I'm not. I'm not consciously chasing the caffeine high. So that's okay. Like, because I feel like I don't really need it every day. But they do say that after you've been drinking coffee for a while, it's not the energy that the coffee gives you in the morning that makes you feel good. It's the relief of withdrawal symptoms from the coffee that you drink.
I 100% believe it, dude. I mean, I mean, would you say that? Do you think that? All right, say you got through the withdrawal symptoms, you were done with the coffee. Do you think you'd actually look forward to, like, don't you think you'd be a little more sad though that you didn't have it in your day? Even though even though you're feeling better, like physically because you don't drink it, like wouldn't you miss it?
Well, yeah, because that's as every drug addict does.
That's very true.
Similar to the defined course of drug addiction, you do miss the drug that you can no longer have. But,
that's true. As I was saying it, I was like, yeah, you mean addiction? You mean like when people miss doing heroin because they quit doing it?
You mean when you rely on something. But yeah, and I'm at that point where I know that I don't want to go through that and I don't want to miss it, so I'm just going to stay on the drug for a while.
Who says I can't stop taking the drug?
Until it's a little too late, and then that's when I'll know to peel it back, That's when I'll know to pulling the reins on that a little bit, and
yeah.
So, but
yeah, dude.
Dare me to drive?
Drugs. We love to talk about drugs on here, and caffeine is a hell of a drug. Caffeine is a hell of a drug, and
so many people are on it, man.
She didn't have a chance.
I'm trying to. Here's an interesting thing to talk about. Since talking about acid always lights me up, and psychedelics. So I've been trying to think about recently, like, because I've done it enough times, right? Or someone I know has done it enough times. If you're listening to this and you know me, this whole thing is about somebody I know.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
But I'm gonna say I just because it's faster. So I'm trying to think of, like, if I'm to not do it as much, if I'm to maybe do it once a year or something like that, and take like a couple tabs, like something that will have its challenges, but I know is doable. What is the course? Obviously, there's going to be a trajectory that decides itself along the way when you're mid-trip, right? But I've been really thinking about, if you were to plan like 6 months in advance, just 5-10 minutes a day, planning an ideal, like a real 8-hour core, but like planning a 12 to 24-hour span, calling it like an acid trip, the trip.
Yeah.
If you were to plan that to be the most ideal, what are some things that you would put in there? And if you're listening to this and you have some ideas and a general guideline, or if you yourself have a formula you like to follow, a schedule, hit us up. Honestly, not even word at gmail.com. We're having security issues with that, but you can also send it to nilogmadethebeat at gmail.com. Just how would you construct the perfect acid trip? What elements would I need, first of all, do you think?
I love that. I think that's going to be a really nice. I think we could shape the most utopian acid trip day out of something like that.
Right, exactly. I want to get our thoughts and maybe aggregate some thoughts, create the day, do the day, and then upload a guide, a template for the psychedelic community to sort of use as their own, as the new standard for the proper way to have a day.
Do you think that do you think that there would have to be 2 parts to the day, or not 2 parts to the day, but two types of days where it's like for the introverts, for the extroverts?
Yes.
So we'd file it under those two to get a blend. And is there a third where it's a hybrid, or is that getting too heady?
I think that's getting too heady. I almost want to. I'll say this. This will be. This is for solo tripping.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, this will be a day for you and your journey. Which obviously it'll have a requirement in there to have a buddy system of some kind, where somebody you can feel safe calling or talking to or being around. But for the most part, let's take out the equation of like you have to party or be with a bunch of people, Yeah. I was thinking you were going to say, do you split the day or split time to like recreational fun time and like spiritual, navel gazing kind of address your mind time?
I think there definitely has to be that.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't necessarily have to be. Obviously there's no hard, hour this, hour that, hour this, hour that. Maybe there is for some people, but I imagine that, you go with what you're feeling at the time. So like, if you're getting into kind of a darker place, realizing that you have to, coming from somebody who's very well versed in acid, you have to kind of go towards that, and maybe that time is the spiritual time. Okay, I'm starting to get into a darker place. I need to start the spiritual portion of this. And then once you're kind of coming out of that and realizing, okay, I'm feeling okay, then maybe you go back to the recreational time, looking at birds, eating flowers and shit.
Looking at birds eating flowers, perineum sunning. Get those buns out, y'all. Sun's out, buns out. Point your anus to the sky, gods, and
playing the Beatles backwards.
Play the Beatles backwards and charge up. Yeah. What other kind of bumpers could you put in it? Because you said, you can kind of hit some rough patches here and there. Maybe there's like a system of timers, or like something that goes off that sends you something that you'd probably need to read or hear at that time,
Yeah. Maybe it's a note to yourself. Would that be too trippy?
No. A system of notes to yourself that are reassuring to you. Say like, you're good. You are fine.
30 minutes or an hour?
I'd say like every hour.
Yeah.
Because some hours feel really long.
Yeah. And I wonder if some you'd hear it and then you'd be waiting for that next hour just like, oh man.
It's been a while.
Could really use that reassurance. And then it turns into like an advent calendar situation where you just eat the chocolate before the day even comes. So you're like, I'm just going to play the I'm going to
forward. I'm going to skip next.
I need that now. So yeah, cannot skip.
It could be a program where, I was going to say, we have like, you put them into a form and we have a thing that like texts it to you. So you can't skip it. You can't skip it.
You don't even have access to it until the
hour
You don't
even have
comes.
access to it after you've submitted.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool. I like this.
That's a good idea.
An online form where you can like construct a plan, and then you have like you put in the date that you want to do it, and it tries to like, you have to finalize. You can go in and edit your plan and edit the blocks, and then you have to finalize it at some point before you go on the trip. And once you hit that finalize button, you can't go back in there.
This is kind of similar to that email, that thing that sends you emails in the future, from yourself. So you can write out stuff. So I wonder if there's a way to get that sort of programming and integrate it into this, where it's like, all right, this isn't even available until 11:50 p.m. or something, and you're like, okay, here's the link to it. Click, and then you have the link to it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
And you throw some hidden links in there too, like a, I don't know, like a, something like maybe like a video you like or something that you want to check out while you're on it. And then it'll make like a bit.ly link out of it. So when you're tripping, you like see it and you're like, I don't even know what this is. And then you open it and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be so fun.
It's just a little, it'd almost be cool if somebody could curate some things for you as well in there,
Some suggestions.
Somebody throws in like some really good funk beat that you really needed to hear. It's almost a shaman that's also a musical curator. So you would be like, well, in most situations, hour 4, I'm trying to listen to some Miles Davis. I'm trying to get some Bitches Brew. Said nobody ever, because that shit would scare the hell out of me.
So let's game this out. Like, what are the most important parts of like any experience that's going to be long? Like, I know you don't have much experience with this, but like mushrooms, or even let's say like a really long edible trip, you can kind of think of the same thing. Like the onset, would you say the most important part is getting your headspace to the excited side?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and honestly, that part is at least in the past has been easy for me. The come up is like, because you're just kind of laughing and it's like carefree and like goofy. I don't know what it is about that part that's so kind of easygoing. I guess because it's kind of
like giggity feels cool.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, yeah. Like you don't really have to worry about.
Like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, I think it's once you get into the plateau, like that's where you're at, and you're just kind of there for a little bit. That's when you got to start framing some more maybe possible. Everything's cool.
Yeah,
you're on a drug.
Like to address that thing you were saying where you start to question if the next one's coming. You could have one that's like, you know, this next hour might feel longer than an hour, but we promise you it's coming, you know?
Yeah.
Time is passing.
For me, it'd be you did not get bit by a spider. There's nothing that bit you. You're fine. Don't squeeze your legs anymore. You're flexing your legs when you squeeze them. That's why it feels like something bit you.
Okay, how about instead of like even entertaining that?
Okay, yeah.
What about like something that gives you the visual, like it tells you to imagine something positive?
Ooh.
Like what would you imagine that is comforting to you or makes you feel good?
Maybe the imagery of a sunny day when you're doing that parachute thing at school with the big ass blanket and everybody like flips it up and it's just like pure joy. It's almost like the joy you feel when you push it up into the air and everybody climbs underneath it and it just kind of falls down and just feeling like you're underneath that blanket with a bunch of your homies.
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
That's fucking sick. Imagine the slow waver of a gigantic blanket. You are outside. You're in your current self, but your body is that of a
boy,
a small
boy.
No worries.
Depending on what gender you put in the form, it's a robot voice. A
Small-zer.
girl.
Yeah, it totally takes you out of it. A small
Girl.
Man, during that moment, you got to put in like little kids, like the sounds of little kids just playing around.
Oh yeah,
That'd be
atmospheric. Nice. Did you hear the part of the AJ pod where I made it sound like you were on a podium addressing the Amish community?
Yes, I did. Bro, I was listening back. I was listening to that when I was driving to Asheville, and that got me really good. I was actually just finishing the ending of it because I was like, I need to save this for a thoughtful moment, and I was like, that was a really really great 365 episode.
That
360 episode.
363 on every single day of the angles.
Yeah. Rumspringa.
Rumspringa. That was good.
Dream.
But, dream. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, that'd be a good thing to have in there. I want to almost have a button that's like a button on the app that you can press. It's just like you activate sicko mode, and it tells you to just do like, you know, some wild shit, like start jacking off right now.
Oh man, have you ever done that while you're on acid?
Or like look in the mirror and slap yourself in the face, just like it's for the hardcore, like people trying to put on a scary movie.
Yeah. Act like Willem Dafoe for 10 minutes straight.
Oh my god, dude.
Godspeed, Spider-Man. Just fucking being so freaky.
God, the way he did that in that movie was so good.
God, what a transformation. I think if you're a real head, it's almost like if you know how if you've jumped out of a plane like over 100 times, parachuting, you no longer need like somebody to grab onto when you do it. You can do it solo dolo. I don't know if it's 100, it might be more. But I feel like
you need the hardcore option and you need like the physiology. Okay, the physiology is something you really have to take note of. Like, you gotta have time to rest a little bit, and you gotta have and you have to have options for food when you should be having food, because certain things will sound good before and then not be palatable at the time, and certain things you won't even think of, and then you get there and you're like, wow, that seems like the only thing I can eat right now. Like, I could see a time where you're like, I don't want to eat anything solid or crunchy. It's gonna feel too weird. I want like a yogurt or a pudding or something, or applesauce. And other times when you're like, ooh, I just want a pizza, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Water too, very important.
Yeah, I think and every like 40 minutes or something, it has to be a series where it's like hydrate, like drink some water now if you haven't. Or just do it.
You know
Just
what?
do it no matter
Yeah.
what.
Let's cut this and let's like put this as a question on TikTok, and we'll also do it like on Reddit. You know, what are some must have, must do, or must remember things for the perfect acid trip? You only want to do you're only gonna you're gonna do a dose that's enough to be somewhat of a challenge, but not so much that you go crazy. What do you think you want to tell yourself to remember? How would you want to schedule your day? What are some tenets? Things like that. Let us know.
Yeah. In the box here below.
Let us know.
Click the box. Yeah, it's over there. What is that dosage? Is that like 200? Is that 2 tabs?
Yeah, I think it'd be 200 for me.
MG? Yeah.
For me.
Some king shit right there, bro.
Yeah. And I've done it enough times where I'm like, or someone I know has done it enough times where it's like, that can have challenging parts.
Yeah.
And the only time the fear comes in is those stories where you're like, just the idea that somebody's like dropping manually on there, and you're like, they could have dropped 2 on here on this one part. You know?
Oh yeah.
And being like, what if I accidentally take 4 instead of 2? But
then you realize, why would somebody waste their acid on? Why would somebody do that?
I just think like maybe it might be an accident or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, and they're like, and it's like a sheet of 100 or 1,000, so they're like, whatever, like whoever that is gets unlucky. But you know, then it's like I've done it, like whatever I have, it's from a sheet that I've done so many times that the odds are it won't be that way. You know.
Yeah. This is why we need government-sponsored acid, so that won't happen.
Yes, you need like a glass box kit, not an actual glass box, but something that's like your tranquilizers for if you're like, I need to calm down instantly. Like you'll have that, you know. Yes.
Yeah. Well, is that just if you had a what do they give you when you go on planes? Not like Valium. What's like the one below that's not as potent as Valium? It's like
Ambien.
No, it's not a sleepy thing. It's more of a
Xanax.
Xanax. If you had a Xanax when you were on acid, do you think that would help at all? Calm you down?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you could do that, you know. That's your breaking case of emergency kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It varies from person to person.
I've never done a Xanax, but I imagine on plane rides it's very nice.
Oh, probably.
I'd love to have a prescription of that, but it's also nice to be able to beat it on your own every once, you know, with the panic attacks and stuff.
There have been times where I'm like, I have said like, I'm getting anxiety and it's like so bad, and I just need the physiological symptoms to like be quelled so I can go about my day and do my thing.
Yeah.
And and every time I think I've said the right things, they're going to give me Xanax finally, because I want to try it. I want it. It sounds great for those times. And without fail, they're always like, well, we can try this random thing that has been shown to help mitigate the symptoms of a general anxiety. I'm like, what do I got to tell you to get those fucking bars, bro?
Yeah, it's been barely tested. They're like, well, Xanax been tested, but, you know, we don't want you to get into that too much. So we're going to give you this instead.
I'm trying to go to fucking Valhalla, baby.
Yeah, I don't know how habit forming those are if you take them as one-offs. I bet they're not if you're just fucking popping one before a plane ride or whatever makes you anxious.
Yeah. It says, I think they like reduce your inhibitions or whatever, so you can, you know, it makes sense to me why a lot of rappers take them, because you probably get the confidence to say, like, you're less worried about things you say to other people when you're on Xanax. Like, you don't give a shit. And so you can probably say some wild shit.
Yeah, that checks out for... Well, I know that people will take those sort of things before shows, and I knew some people in high school that would take them before recitals. because they get so nervous when they had a solo or something, and they would just they'd fuck up a bunch because they didn't have the performance anxiety that kind of helps you naturally just focus and do a good job. They were just kind of like, if I fuck up a note, whatever, it's not the end of the world. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You got to find the right balance.
You talking about like beta blockers?
Maybe that's a beta blocker
like,
thing. Yeah.
Because that I want to try for sure too.
Yeah. Going to a job interview, you're just like, just hire me, man. Put my balls on the table. Let's go, man. I mean, what have you got to lose?
It's like kind of like, I was thinking about this the other day, right?
Yeah.
About how even though they're evil, you still can't help but be really enthralled by extremely rich, powerful assholes. Just like the idea of them, their power, their stories, like very captivating. And it's like talking about like, we're probably not going to stop talking about Elon Musk because it's like, that'd be like growing up in the era of like Rockefeller and not talking about him. Like it's just like the richest person in the world. So like what they say has an effect on the rest of the world. And like the shit they do it matters. So you're naturally like, just kind of like, what's going on with that guy? Like what are they up to? And I was thinking about Steve Jobs and just how crazy it was how like Steve Wozniak is still alive, right?
Yeah.
And when he was in that garage doing stuff, they made the thing where there was a keyboard and you press a key, like let's say you press the letter J, and then on the screen, the letter J shows up. That was the first time that they had ever achieved that.
Yeah.
Steve Wozniak invented that. Pressing a keyboard button and the key shows up on the screen. And that guy's still alive. Isn't that fucking crazy?
It is nuts.
Like when you think like technology isn't going at an exponential rate, it doesn't feel like that sometimes because we're in the middle of it. But like that guy's still alive. And now
it wasn't that long ago.
And now we can touch the glass and that moves the shit around, And that was before even graphics. Like they invented the shit that has a graphical interface. And you had like, Paint, like Apple Paint or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely no longer talking about what I meant to be talking about when I started this, but I was thinking about job interviews, Steve job interviews.
Well, one last thing too. You don't even have to touch the glass anymore. You can just speak to the glass and it'll write shit.
Oh my God, that's so true.
It's fucking nuts. Steve Jobs interview.
And the last time I had like a meeting with like a bunch of strangers, like in a higher up situation where I didn't know how it was going to go, I was just listening to a podcast about Steve Jobs and how he was like this very good, very confident communicator of his ideas and his vision. And then right before that meeting, I do admit, I said in my head, I'm Steve Jobs.
Yeah, boy.
And then I did the meeting and I absolutely shredded. They asked me back. Bro. They told me to, come, I nailed it. And I thought, okay, Steve Jobs was maybe not a great guy. But I'm not a villain. If I set my sights to be Steve Jobs for an hour, I'm not going to get anywhere close. So I got nothing to worry about,
Yeah. Well, dude, sorry, you're on something. Keep going.
That was it.
Oh.
I'm fizzling.
You're fizzling? I think, yeah. I mean, just because you're an asshole doesn't mean it's not interesting to learn how you got to do the coolest shit ever. Like how you did something that 0.00001% of people do. Like it's so fascinating. That's why we love listening to. That's why how I built this is such a popular show. It's like it's so fascinating to just look into the minds of those people. And it's also a good idea just in case you ever get into an opportunity to get somewhere and you're like, all right, I will do my best to not do that and be an asshole like he was in that situation.
It also does that, and it gives you a guide to help you not get fucked over, because you still have to navigate the world. Yeah. Which is
insert
run by
Mark
assholes.
Cuban. Yeah, here. I started $1 billion industry. Yeah, dude. I think that's just another way of, people say, put your hands on your sides before you go into an interview and just stand in the Superman pose or woman pose for 1 to 2 minutes, just standing there and just fucking, I'm confident as hell. I feel like just saying you're Steve Jobs is
get the
equal to
shoulders
that.
up and
get your fucking posture going.
Get the fucking neck back and be like,
get that condom looking beanie ass hat on.
Look how much more confident I look now than the whole episode before.
Dude, your chest is glowing right now. LD. I like that. I'm gonna use that honestly in an interview next time where I'm Steve Jobs. I'm Steve Jobs, and I'm gonna just be a fucking like no. I don't. Yeah. That's a terrible Steve Jobs impression, but that's my thought on him whenever he throws little temper tantrums. No.
Yeah, that's a nice mantra. And another one I've been saying is I'm 30. That's a fun one.
I'm 30. Yeah. Well, I'm 29,
30.
but I'm 30.
You get it. You're out and about. I get it. You get that energy where you're like, you feel like just being on like, oh, sorry, oops. And then I'm like,
yeah,
I'm 30.
Yeah, bro. Whenever I walk into a coffee shop and I feel a little awkward because I'm like, these people, they're kind of, I'm 30.
I'm 30.
I'm 30 years old.
If you're listening to this and you're 16, 17, 18, in your 20s and you feel this, just use that. I'm 30. You're at the mall. Some cashier's giving you shit, trying to coax you into this program, saying you're trying to upsell you. You start to get nervous. You want to say yes to the insurance package, the add-on at the Apple Store. I'm 30. You're being bossed around at the Genius Bar because you need a replacement battery, and they're just trying to gouge you for your hard-earned money. I'm 30. I'm 30. You go to the Jiffy Lube and you want an oil change, and they tell you that there's rust in the mufflers. And you need that scraped out, and you need Carnauba wax on the back side of your right passenger side mirror. They say that's going to be $79.99, but you say, no, it's not. It's going to be $0 because I'm 30. And when you go back home for Christmas and your family is lording around trying to say, ooh-wee, why don't you get a job? Why don't you get married? Why don't you settle down and have kids for once? Okay? It's time you contribute to this family. You say, shut the fuck up, Steve. Shut the fuck up! I'm 30. Okay? That's for you guys.
I think I like the idea, though, of going to the Apple Store and saying, they're trying to boss you around. They're trying to say, this battery's going to cost $200. You say, I'm Steve Jobs.
I'm Steve
Free
Jobs.
Battery, okay? I invented this battery concept.
You go to the Apple Store and they try to sell you the new dongle for the Apple iPhone 15 Professional Maximum. You just look at them and you say, I'm Steve Jobs.
It might work better for you if you say, I'm Tim Cook, but try Steve Jobs first.
It's scary if you're the ghost of Apple's nucleus coming back to be like, you're fucking up here, buddy.
That's very true.
Your job is on the line.
I'd be more terrified of that, and I would definitely give that dongle away for free.
Because if the entity, if like the the localization of energy related to Steve Jobs was just to float down and take form in the shape of like a misty version of Steve Jobs and just like saunter in to Apple headquarters and like look down. He sees like Joni St. Ives and he's like, "Good to see you, sir." And he like goes by and he like Tim Cook would be quaking in his boots, dude. He'd be like,
yeah.
"Oh, Steve, I'm so sorry.
I apologize for what I've done with the products." Yeah.
Like he's like wispy, like it goes through his head, but he's still like,
he hits him with his little Casper ghost tail.
Steve, I'm so sorry. He's floating by. She's like, sees fucking. Those are the only staff members I know at.
You haven't done anything since I've died. You've invented nothing.
Anything. Here's to the rebels.
Just do it.
We'll make sure 2023 isn't like 1984.
Just redo the fucking ad. It's the same thing. He's like, it's the ghost of Steve Jobs that like doesn't remember he already did it. So he's like, it'd be really interesting if we had some sort of, we threw a thing through a screen. We had a runner in Nikes. Just do it, throwing it through the screen. And then it's just dancers, silhouettes of dancers dancing to something.
It'll be the best ad they've ever seen.
And boy, have we patented it.
Dude, speaking of OG old guys, you got to listen to this episode of Acquired about CAA, Creative Artists Agency.
Oh, all right, I'm saving it now.
Yeah, with Michael Ovitz. He's another one I've been channeling lately too.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'll remember. I love that show, man.
Yeah, you'll get a kick out of. And the one about with Joseph Gordon-Levitt that they just did, because they just came out with a show about the founder of Uber, where Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays the guy.
Okay, he's gone now, right?
Really, really, really good.
Misconduct.
I think so. Yeah.
You've got to watch the. Speaking of like founders that are no longer, you have to watch that Elizabeth Holmes show on Hulu. It's fucking great. The Dropout with Amanda Seyfried. Seyfried.
Yeah.
Seyfried.
I was wondering if that was good.
It's really good. She went from like being like, okay, this is Amanda Seyfried like playing Elizabeth Holmes to being like, that's Elizabeth Holmes. Holy shit.
Yeah. When you say Freed, you mean Freed.
We mean Freed. Yeah, she's great, dude. I'll check that out though.
She's come out. She's come up.
You know, and I could have sworn she was in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, but I was dead wrong, bro. Don't you think of that movie?
You might be thinking of Mean Girls. She was in Mean Girls.
No. I'm thinking about a bunch of girls who pass around some denim pants, and I thought she was in it for sure.
And then on Fridays, the pants are pink.
Ah, okay. I see where my brain probably went then.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit with us. You can't sit with us.
Was in a movie called Lovelace. Do you know about that movie?
Oh yeah, we watched it together.
Of course we did.
Because we're sick. We're fucking freaks.
I'll watch it again. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that was a good movie. But yeah, dude, CEOs are fascinating. I don't think I could. I'd like to invent something one day that would be fun and to run a business, but God, you got to do. I kind of like having my hands in a bunch of different things though, rather than just doing like one thing.
Yeah,
like it's more interesting to me to do a bunch of stuff rather than just being a one thing, you know? I love that we do this. I love that we do music. I love to work on music business. I like coming up with ideas for clothes. That's another thing out soon. Tell you about it later. But yeah, it's just fun to be more rather than boop, one thing.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it'd be more fun to be like director level than executive level, you know?
Yeah. That's a good point. Probably.
But then again, like if you're CEO, yeah. It depends on the company, I guess, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the power that you have as CEO is cool, but at the same time, if you don't have a majority stake, then you're just a fucking puppet to please stakeholders. So at the same time, it kind of depends on what your stake is and how happy they are with you. Because if you're just a director of something, of like creativity, it's like, oh, okay, I got to report to the CEO every once in a while, but I just got to do dope shit. But if you're the CEO, you're just got those old dudes breathing down your neck, and you're like, I got to make $10 million this year.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where probably if you're in that position to get that, it's almost like the sound of it would be better than the actual duties.
Yeah. I don't want those duties.
I don't want them duties.
Mm-mm.
And just to start an actual like company and have to do those things where you're like regularly reporting everything that's going on in your company to the government is like, just sounds like a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, I guess that's why you pay somebody to do it for you. Or ideally you get to that point, but to get to that point is not easy. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't want it.
I don't want it.
I don't want that. Throw me a freaking bone.
Yeah. And then you think, throw me a freaking bone here. And you think about like starting like a media company or like a production company or something, and it's like, that's tough too, because sometimes the production companies, they just lose their way. Like a lot of them are not dope. A lot of them are just like whack and not creative,
Yeah.
Very formulaic, like. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the routes that some major broadcasters go once they get bought, or something, not necessarily bought, but they start going to the big times, and they just license old shows and then rerun those shows. They don't make anything new.
Yeah.
Because it is really risky to make a new show and do a new show. That's why, as much shit as I talk about some of these like streaming platforms with their shows being kind of the same a lot of the time, at least they're not like Discovery Channel just playing like old.
Yep.
They're just really C-level alien content that's just kind of whack. It's like funny for a little bit, but to keep watching it, it's like, all right, this isn't even like inventive anymore. They're just like QAnon bullshit now.
Well, with Netflix, it's like you're building a rocket ship to the moon, right? And
Yeah.
like everything you put in place before you take off, that's the shit. You're going to be using that for the rest of the trip to the moon. You know what I mean? So it's like their system of how they like make those movies that kind of feel the same or have the same tone. That's kind of interesting to me, to like build something like that, to like make the parameters and have the values and the system to do that, and then like see that it makes good things, and then let it run and see what comes out of it, and see like the kind of adjustments you have to make here and there, because that's very butterfly effecty. That's very like, playing God in a way. You like devise this thing, like this is how we're going to get movies made, because we are too big to treat each one like it's our big thing. Like there has to be some stuff that's standardized, or else we won't scale, right?
Yeah.
And then just to see where that leads will either reaffirm that you made good decisions in that system building, or whack ones,
Yeah, I guess that's why it's more interesting to become a smaller version of that. That's just mainly a production company. So you're just A24.
I was just about to say it. And then you're just A24.
Okay. Yeah, which is like, bow, but they put out a couple, probably a tenth of what Netflix puts out a year, but.
And they're getting bigger though. And so that like,
oh yeah,
I know it. I know now that sometimes I see an A24 trailer and I'm like, it's one of the not good ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like before you could almost bank on them all being pretty like make you shook. And now you're like, oh, they're doing like almost one for every month of the year. Like one of these is bound to be just standard A24 fodder, you know?
That's true. But they seem like they'd be more open to getting a weird ass director in there.
Yeah.
Rather than like Netflix would be. They'd be like, I don't know if we want somebody's liver to come to life and take the shape of the entity in which they are.
Yeah, I want to see what
A24, let's fucking try it. That sounds like it slaps.
Right. And I think they can probably like, yeah, afford to fund that kind of thing. But then it's like I saw Lamb, that movie Lamb, and I was like, this is okay. Like it's just okay. It was just creepy. They had some of this signature A24 shots and cinematography. But it wasn't like, oh my God. I haven't seen a movie like that. I am curious about this X movie though.
I'm curious about X, and I'm curious about Men.
Yeah, I just saw that. Is a trailer out?
A longer one is out, and it looks. I have no idea what's going on. I love trailers like that.
Fuck yeah.
I want to just. I've been like, every time I look for jobs now, I'm like, why don't I look for more jobs in like a film world too?
Exactly.
You know, I don't know why it's gotta, because music and film are both so interesting to me. It's like I would totally do that.
Totally
as well.
Do something in film, or for me, like something even in games or like VR would be super interesting.
Dude, you gotta figure out a way to get AAA title shit on your resume. That's like on every game thing, but I wonder how complicated it is to do.
You definitely at this point, when we're 30, you got to go in through the side door. You're gonna have to get like a game job through a non-game job.
Yeah, totally. You got to know, or you just have a homie, because I feel like that's so important. Literally. It's just, do you have a homie that works there? Because they'll give you a chance.
Exactly. But yeah, I think that's good, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Another one is in the books, you guys. Blake is going to be
40, bro.
Episode 40.
40 of these out. That's fucking crazy.
That's pretty cool.
And we wasn't supposed to make it past 39. Joke's on you. We're 40 now.
I've got a lot of really cool stuff to tell you guys about what I've been doing, and that's going to be, some of you guys are not going to believe some of the shit you hear, but it will be heard. And we will be back. And I just want to let you guys know straight up, like, it's been a while, but this will be the biggest podcast on the earth.
We are Steve Jobs.
We are Steve Jobs, and we are 30.
I got nothing to say, yeah, I'm just loving the way you're looking over here. Come over here and tell me your name. I can tell by the sound, yeah, when you open your mouth. I hear my new favorite melody, hey. We should both run away.